Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Midori's Midnight Sessions Season 2. Oh god. Now that the turbulence of the second semester has finally begun. It's finally begun, you know, being thrown into us, and I want to get right to the point so I don't have to make this longer, to say the least. But there is an assignment that I just finished like hours earlier, where we had to analyze a video and then uh answer a question, or rather answer the question, what makes a community. And my beginning, the beginning paragraph of my assignment says, one thing about me that will always keep me haunted in my life is the fact that I never belonged anywhere. As a kid, you're always searching for that one place where you will finally feel home, and once you find it, you can never really leave, or even let that feeling of being home go. With that, you're always on the move to settle into a place or a fantasy where you could feel like you belong. And I think there is that ineffable hole that you never really fill. Like, you never really wanted to be filled, or rather, it's hard to fill it in, it's just there. That void is there. And while I was making this assignment, I was thinking of what that word really meant to me. Because in all honesty, it's such a foreign concept. I'm not gonna lie. For me, it was strange, borderline non existent. What is a community? Am I in one? Well, maybe in the general sense of the word, I am. Maybe it's like a literal meaning where, you belong to some place. You go there, or you have common interests, but the metaphorical concept of it is foreign. It's not that I know what it means, but have I really felt? Because the question usually, the usual question is the sense of belonging, the concept of ownership, but most importantly of belonging. What is it? You don't really know what it means to belong, to share a community, to feel like you are in there. You're just always like the sore thumb, the one that sticks out, like a sore, for lack of a better word, fucking thumb. What is it? I did answer here, you belong to it because you're in a certain area or share something with people you come across, but what I what is it exactly? It's such a simple question, but it also begs the possibility of exploration about what it means. Because we have like the metaphorical, I mean the literal meaning of, you know, the concept of ownership and like being in the same proximity as like everyone else. Like everyone else has their own communities they belong to. And as someone who has different, like vastly different interests than everyone else, and you can't really fit in, it's almost always the fact that whenever people first meet me, I always stand out like a sore thumb. And as for me, I've grown tired of it. I've grown tired of always being that sore thumb. Like, you just want to, like, this is my thumb, and you wanted to feel like there's some ice that will alleviate the pain, the bruise, but it still sticks out. It feels like the sore thumb really never heals. Like the bruise is still there. It's like the thumb was beaten so badly that there are just black spots everywhere that your nail is dead. Borderline dead. Like, you know, with the violet stains and everything. There's no blood in there. And that's like the thing that always has been going through my mind. And I was, okay, we don't talk, I know, but like, talking about this brings me back to the time, or rather, the multiple times I've told my best friend that, you know, I feel like I don't belong. Like, sure, I have a lot of people that I know, but they're just that. People I know. They're not people that I loved. They just happen to be a people that, you know, I've encountered with multiple times or just once, but never the one that will stay permanent, will stay a constant, or the one that gives you a lot of lessons and and impact. I say here, people come and define that with you, then they leave a mark in the process, whether that be insignificant or an impact so indescribable that you have a hard time comprehending its sudden disappearance. You're then left there to make that mark matter. In your own way, of course. And sometimes I think to myself, maybe I did make a difference in someone's life. I don't know. Maybe I made a difference through my music, through my essays, through my general outlook in life, through my demeanor, for the times that I got myself, or rather my shit together. There are a lot of things that people would admire me for, but have I admired myself about it? Probably. I could count these by my hand. And I remember, like, telling my best friend about this. And he says to me, you don't have to change. Maybe the right people will come, but there are no right people. Maybe you're the right person, like, to be an elder, some kind of elder in their life. But you know, my friendship with my best friend was the opposite. Because I am the younger one. I am the more rebellious rule breaker that also has this sense of longing. You always yearn for something that is non-existent. You always look for it. You always try to search for it. And you never really come to a conclusion. It's always a dead end. And you think, where? Where's home? What is home? You don't really have the concept of home, of being in a communal space or being in a safe space where you can share everything that you want to share in your life. It feels non-existent. It feels like such a foreign concept that you don't really want to, like, bother to search or look for the answers that you want to look for. And he told me, maybe try to love yourself, and the people will love you for the way you are. Not in its exact words though, but I understand what he means. I just can apply it. It's hard to apply things like those when you're always on the run to look for something that is a foreign concept. Maybe sometimes I do forget that the most important things that I have are right here. Maybe sometimes I do a lot of different things to keep myself distracted. Playing games, writing music, and stories, and poems. Watching television series, K-dramas, blah blah blah. But when I think about it, they don't really do anything. Even this podcast is a distraction. But it also helps. Because I can never articulate my feelings like this. It helps that I write because I remember everything. I remember how it felt. I remember how it went. I remember the impact it had on me long after it happened. And there's never really wrong with remembering. Maybe I am stuck in the past. Maybe I am still running. Like it never stops. The marathon never stops. You just keep running and running, and you don't really come to a certain conclusion. You don't really come to understand what they mean. I'm like, oh, come on, I am young, I am just 23. I still have a lot to learn about the world, but deep inside, and like when I talk about these kinds of topics to my best friend, sometimes I think, wow, I feel like I'm old. I feel like I have so much wisdom, and I'm only 23. I also think that they don't make sense. What I offer to other people, it doesn't make sense in a way because I don't really know what to offer them other than a listening ear or some advice. I would say, like, I'm not a good advisor. Like, however, I can be very blunt. Blunt to the point that I am rude. But I will say it with brutal honesty. That's how I've always been. That's how people know me. But when I broke down, which I talked about in a previous episode, when I broke down, only then I realized that maybe I needed like a community to belong to. I just don't know what it is. Again, it is such a foreign concept to me. But maybe I needed one. Maybe I do need someone to lean on when, you know, I'm having a hard time. Because I am the class representative. I am the section's president, quote unquote. And in my slam book, which my classmates answered on the first day of school, on our first day back, they were asking me, "Are you okay?" And I don't like to answer that because it's not the fact that I have to be strong. I just don't know how to comprehend or articulate answers for that question because I haven't been able to answer that question for some time. Does it feel fair to them? No. Because I am the class rep. And as Hen says in 911, you gotta let us in, Bobby. You gotta let us in. And I am not usually one to talk about my problems unless it's someone I really trust. I always go for like the shallow problems that I have. I don't talk about friendship. I don't talk about family. I don't talk about my personal struggles with people, and especially in the making of this thesis where it's deeply, deeply personal. I don't talk about it. And it's not that I prefer to stay that way, it's just that I'm not ready to talk about it. And I am preparing myself to do that and hope that they would, still accept me for the way that I am. That it's just like this. I just have some fucked up shit that's, I guess, really defining my identity, my personality. And it's like the first time that I've really talked about this with anyone, like about the circumstances surrounding my thesis with other people that are not my profs, my professors. I mean, I did talk about it with a psychologist, but with my classmates or peers, no. Even my high school classmates don't know. We went our separate ways anyway, so I don't think they can be blamed. But again, I don't even know if I belong. They always say, I'm here for you. But now it's just a question of how willing are they and how much are they willing to lend a hand, and especially to someone who does not really ask for help. It's scary. I've talked about this in the previous episode where it's just scary having to ask for help. You're not wired to ask people because you're always the lending ear. You're always the one that has to shoulder the problems and the responsibilities. And sometimes it's okay that you let people in, that you let them give out your hand to you. And I think when that happens, that's what a community is. You're someone who's willing to pour all of what you have, and them willing to do the same. The reciprocation of your effort by other people, and then paying it forward to help other people. Isn't that what a community is? It's not like the most literal meaning of the word. It's a rather metaphorical answer. But I thought about it that way, having been influenced by the people around me. And that community will always be there. Even if you leave, even if the disappearance is rather sudden, even It feels like it's fading away, but it will always be there. That bond, the memories you shared, that that mundane, from the mundane to the pains of life, when you're willing to lend a hand, when you're always willing to reach out and give help, and then they do the same, they reciprocate the effort. I think that's when you will feel like you truly are in the right place and you are worthy of belonging in that place. And that is today's episode for Midori's Midnight Sessions. I would like to thank you all so much for listening and watching this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed our episode this week, and I hope you leave your thoughts, whether on our YouTube or our podcast platforms. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.